Right, all the fowls of heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all, and thou art the head of gold. Because this is talking about the Babylonian kingdom. Okay, now how did it work with them? Was the Assyrians? I think it was the Assyrians. Yeah, it was the Assyrians, then the Babylonians, then the Medo-Persians, then the Romans, okay, furthermore, then the Greeks, then the Romans, then the Byzantine Empire, then you go to where the resurgence of the Greco-Roman Empire again. Okay, so that head of gold was who? That head of gold was Babylon. I think I got that in the right order. Okay, so now let's carry on. It says here, and after thee shall arise kingdoms inferior to thee, and another kingdom of brass, inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over the earth, and the fourth kingdom and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as it breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. So as you had it to where you had this gold, this kingdom which was Babylon, that was likened to gold for its splendor. Okay. Right, but in terms of his military, it's nothing in comparison to Esau's kingdom right now. Okay, and we can read about that within the book of Maccabees, the first chapter. Okay, because the blessing of this man Esau, the way whatever you want to call them, the bankers. Okay, whether you want to call them whatever you want to call them. Okay, predominantly the British, all of these different nations, America, the Edomites, the beastman. Okay, the man of sin. Whatever you want to call them, we know them within the scriptures of the Edomites. Their blessing was the sword, okay? And wherever they was going to push forth their agenda, they was going to bring about more death than anything, okay? That's ever more present when you had this man by the name Alexander the so-called Great, right? Which was the first Edomite, okay, to really push that Edomite agenda out there to have the world in under one idea and one rule. Okay, now you had other empires before him, but he was the first Edomite to do that. Now they tried to do the same thing in the times of, was it Haman? Is that correct? Yeah, in the times of Haman, they tried to do that because that was the Medo-Persian Empire, but the Most High didn't set up for them to come into power like that at the first instance. Then you had it to where when you had the Medo-Persian Empire, they was at the height of their rulership, and I think they ruled for a couple of hundred years, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, about 400 BC, around about 325 BC. You had it to where Alexander of Macedon, he goes out there and campaigns against Darius the Mede. Was it Darius the Mede? Okay, Darius the Medo-Persian, right? And then that's when you had it to where Esau had to bear the earth, bear rule of the earth then. Okay, but the point I'm reading this scripture is for was when they was doing that, they was bringing about a lot of death, and that's what's spoken about out there within the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Okay, how that they was going to be strong as iron because they was going to break all of these nations into different pieces, man. Okay, it was going to bring about a lot of death. That's what Esau does. He lives by the sword. But the scripture says that you're going to reap what you sow. That's spoken about within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. So let's go to that before, and then we go into the book of Maccabees. Then we go into the book of then we go back onto the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. So this is Revelations, the 13th chapter, and the 9th verse. So Revelations 13 and 9 says, if any man have an ear, why does it say if any man have an ear? Because everyone out here has got an ear, but not everybody's got the spiritual perception to see what is said within the scriptures and the gravity of what is said within the scriptures. Okay? So ultimately, when you go into the book of Amos, the 9th chapter on the 4th verse, what did it say? Right? Set a mark upon the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. They're the ones that they have the ear to hear what's being said within the scriptures. And ultimately, this was going to be their faith. Because here it is, you got this man of sin destroying the whole entirety of the earth, and it's like he's never going to be punished. But that's spoken about within the book of Job, the 20th chapter, because it says the triumphant of the wicked is short. So although they've been in rulership since the 1600s, they've been in rulership for a period of about 400 years. Okay, they've had the real Israelites, the Negroes, Hispanics and Native Americans in hardcore captivity, and subsequently these different nations upon the face of the earth have been underneath a continual stroke underneath Esau. Okay. He was going to have the same judgment that he's put upon these people upon his own head. And this is what we're reading upon within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. I know I lost my train of thought on that statement. But bear with me. So this is Revelations 13:9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Okay, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So Esau led these people, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelites, into captivity, and subsequently all the nations upon the face of the earth, okay, underneath a hardcore captivity, okay, he led them into captivity. The scripture says that they shall go into captivity, okay. It says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience on the face of the saints. So this man lives by the sword. Okay, he's out there within he went out there into Afghanistan by way of the sword. And the modern day sword is what? Okay, the machine gun, the AK-47, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that's the modern day sword right now. He went out there into Afghanistan, went out there into Libya, right? He went out there into the interiors of Africa to steal oil from the Nigerians by way of what he calls government. But that's another means of a sword. Okay, because a lot of these people are gonna be asking for democracy and all of these different things. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. Dictatorships work better. Okay? So you got it to where you got democracy being spread out there. You got these people, feeling that they're liberated, but their whole infrastructure in terms of government has been destroyed. The same thing happened within Venezuela. So that whole thing of democracy that Esau pushes, okay, that's another sword that he puts upon people, and that devours more men than the wars that he wages with these different countries. Okay, there's a thing out there on YouTube called All Wars Are Bankers Wars that proves that all of these things that are happening out here is for the gain of Esau. But what does the scripture say? The scripture says that he that killeth with the sword, whether it be a gun, whether it be by him instituting some type of government policy upon these different people, and then in turn killing them off, okay, whether he does that, Moses said he's going to be destroyed for all of that, man. Okay, so he says here, if any man have ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword, whether it be government, whether it be ideology, okay? He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience in the face of the saints. So we have patience in that all of this destruction that Esau's brought upon the face of the earth, this kingdom of part iron and part clay, right, all of the destruction that they put upon the face of the earth, the patience of the saints was that judgment was going to return upon their own head. That's the patience. That's where the faith comes into, man. Okay, so enter the book of First Maccabees, in the first chapter. It says, and it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, came out of the land of Shittim, and had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes. Okay, so you had Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes. They battled, was it 2-3 battle? And I think it was the last battle they had was the battle of Gargamella or something like that. And after they did battle, Alexander had beaten him again. Okay, and I think it was Darius' own man that had assassinated him, if I remember my history correctly. Okay, so after his assassination, who's the new ruler? Who's the new big dog upon the face of the scene? The Greeks. Okay, so it says there, and he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So right in the inception of Esau coming into power, it wasn't no traitor. I mean, yeah, understandably, when you're gonna bring about a rulership, a new rule, okay, you was gonna come in. You was gonna come in the spirit of taking down all of the kings up on the face of the earth. But the first thing that said about this new Edomite rule is what? Death, destruction coming about. And that's the same thing, that's the same model that they rule under right now. That's why the scripture within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter and the 9th verse says what he says. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And that's the faith and the patience, that's the faith and the patience of the saints, man. Judgment. Okay? And we're going to read about all of this judgment within the scriptures coming out of the Bible, man. Okay? It says, and he went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations. Sounds like that sounds like someone we know already. Okay? And took many spoils of many nations, in so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he exalted himself and lifted himself up. Sounds like a person that we know right now. The scripture talks about how pride goeth before destruction. Okay, and this man is filled with pride, and we know he's going to be destroyed pretty soon, man. Okay, so let's go on to the 7th verse, just to prove that wickedness abounded after these Greeks were in power. Okay, so it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died, and his servants were rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So they set up you had what was it? You had Ptolemy, right? Antagonist, Seleucus, and there's one more, Ptolemy and Cassander. Okay, and I believe Seleucus was the usurper, but I forget which one it was, because you had the fifth one that was killed by one of the other ones, and they set up a new rule. Okay, but even in that inception, that whole kingdom was already divided. So when they came back up as what you know now as the Americans, the Germans, the French, etc., the British. Okay, the empire, the beast spoken about within the book of Revelations, the 17th chapter. When they came back as that, they were still divided. And ultimately, that division, that schism, and that the struggle for power, okay, was going to be their demise. And ultimately, the scripture says within the book of Obadiah, them that are at peace with thee have deceived thee. And we can get that next. Then we go back onto the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. So it says there in Maccabees 1:7, it says, so Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his own place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them, and evils were multiplied upon the earth. Okay, so after this, these Greeks, evils was multiplied upon the face of the earth. Okay, what does that go to show you? This is the manner of sin that the scripture speaks about. Okay, now let me just touch on this quick point, and then we go back onto the main point. Okay, but let me just touch on this book of Obadiah, right, dealing with the schisms and this fractured society that we're living in, okay, of Germany being strong, but Portugal is weak. Spain being weak, and the Greeks, the modern day Greeks, and you go to where America's strong, okay? But they're all the same people, okay? So I want to go into the book of Obadiah right quick. Speak about this division that they have, and how that ultimately them that are at peace with the main bulk of the Edomites, the ones that are in rulership, okay, America namely, they're not really at peace with them, and ultimately they was gonna usurp and destroy America, man. Okay, they was gonna take part in that. Roughly paraphrase. Okay, so Obadiah 1:6, it says, how are the things of Esau searched out? So all of that atrocity that they put in the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans in hardcore captivity, that's being brought out. Okay, every single thing of what's known as conspiracy, that's being revealed. Okay, so how are the things that Esau saw up? They're being brought to light right now. You okay there? Okay, what country are you from?
Oh, I'm from Belize.
From?
Belize.
But where's Belize?
Central America.
Oh, you're from Central America. Okay, so when you read the Bible, you're the tribe of Judah. Okay, well, the Bible, you believe in the Bible, you believe in the scriptures?
I don't really. I don't study it.
All right, okay, so in the Bible, there's 18 nations. Everyone upon the face of the earth comes from those 18 different nations. They might call themselves Spanish or whatever today. Everybody comes from those 18 different nations. Now, within the Bible, God chose a special people out of those 18 nations. Now, I'm gonna ask you. You should know this one. Who do you think those special people are?
I don't study the Bible. So.
Okay, so that's known as the Israelites.
Right.
Okay, so it's very important to identify these people, who the Israelites are, because we know that when judgment plays out, you might not know the scriptures, but you're living within the scriptures. For instance, Russia coming up against America, that's biblical.
Right.
Okay, now people think that there was gonna be some fires raining down from heavens, and that was gonna be the rapture. That's not what the scriptures talk about. The scriptures talks about nation coming up against nation, and ultimately judgment by way of fire, which is the nuclear missiles.
Where are you from?
I'm from. Well, ultimately, I'm an Israelite, but I was born in the interiors of Africa, and I've identified through history and prophecy my nationality. Okay, by way of the teachings of Great Millstone, I've identified my nationality. Okay, and I'm here teaching fellow Israelites that they're the special people upon the face of the earth right now, and that's proven within the scriptures.
Right. Okay. So you're just making a video?
Oh yeah, just doing a video, doing the teaching, you know. Okay.
You have a YouTube?
If you go on, have you got your phone or access to YouTube or something?
I do. Yeah.
I can give you my teachers. I'll give you my some of our teachers, and you can just subscribe to it, and you get the you get it from the source, you know, undiluted.
Not got TV.
So do I go on Facebook or do I go on YouTube?
You go on YouTube and put in the first one that comes to mind is GMS, the letters. If you type it in.
It's just loading up now.
GMS.
MS.
Okay, space.
live or worship?
What have you got there? Okay, so, space, and put Dallas in class. That's the first one that comes to mind. Dallas in class.
Reincarnated?
That's a good site. You can go on that one. You can go on that one. It's the same Dallas. Yeah, and then that's the main page right there.
Are you from Dallas?
No. We're all part of the same group. We got teachers above us, but that's the one, like, that's easy to find, that one.
Right.
To go through, what is the 666 mark is a good site too. That's the head of all of us. But I mean, you could go on that. You can get some information off of that. Ibadia, Obadiah in English, but when you go into the Hebrew, it's Ibad, which means servant. Yeah, or Obed. Yeah, you have a nice day anyway. So I'm gonna get back to this. So this is the book of Obadiah. Obadiah 1:6. It says, how are the things that Esau searched out, and how are his hidden things so up? So you got to where now you're in the information age. Okay, people are bringing out all types of information about Esau and dirt that he's been doing. Okay, the dirty, shady dealings that he's been doing. Okay, how he's got this whole world under the rulership and under the vibration of wickedness. Okay, he's got the whole world underneath the vibration of wickedness, and everybody's seeing that. And these nations that were weak, okay, and strong too, because Germany's looking at the Americans right now like, look, man, these guys are devils, okay, and that's of the same own household. They're all Edomites, okay. But going back onto the book of Daniel, we knew that the parts were going to be strong, parts were going to be weak, and one family's going to look upon another one as, look, that's, that they're there. We need to be the ones that are in rulership, okay. You got ranks and fire within the house of Esau, and that was going to cause division, and those divisions was going to be manifested in the times that we're living in right now. Okay, so it says here, other men of that confederacy has deceived thee, right? Thee, and brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee, right, have deceived thee, and they have prevailed against thee. They that eat their bread have delayed the wound underneath thee, and there is none understanding in him. Okay, and I believe to the end that it said within the scripture, the mother that incepted thee, which was Britain, was going to be a schism with America, man. Okay, because America ultimately is Babylon within the scriptures, and that was where the main judgment was going to be played out. And we might read about that within the scriptures a little bit later on. So the bulk of the judgment, the bulk of what's going to happen prophetically when the Lord returns within that fathership is spoken about within the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, all of them scriptures. Okay. The bulk of that judgment, Revelations 12:12, the bulk of that judgment was going to play out there within America, because that is that harlot, that is that woman that sits upon these nations, right? And hence the schisms, hence the division that you have within Esau's own household. And I say that to say this, because the scripture says that what if a house be divided up against itself, how shall it stand? I believe that's in the book of Matthew. Matthew 12:25. Let's see if that's the right scripture I've marked up right. Okay, Matthew 12:25. Okay, if Satan's house be divided up against himself, how shall it stand? Right, and that's the thing that the Lord said. Okay, so let me see.
So it's 360. So it's quite a good process. There are benefits like that.
I don't think that's the right citation I've written down. Okay, you're right there. That's the Israelites, the real Israelites, the real Jews. Not the people out there within the land of Israel right now. That's the real ones there. Okay, so back within the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, this is now the 39th verse. It says, and after thee, right, shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third of brass, and which shall bear rule over all the earth, and the fourth kingdom which shall be as of iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, as iron breaketh all these, it shall break in pieces and bruise. So Esau's empire right now, as you know, is the Americans, the British, they broke in pieces everybody, man. Isaiah, the 14th chapter, goes out into how all of these nations have been underneath a continual beating underneath Esau, okay? So it says, and whereas thou sowest the feet and the toes of part of potter's clay, right, and part of iron, and the kingdom shall be divided, but they shall be within it of strength of iron, America, Germany, okay? For as much as thou sowest the iron mixed with the murray clay, And as of the toes and of the feet were part of the iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be divided and partly strong and partly broken. And that's what we're existing in right now. America is strong, but it's the same kingdom and empire as the British, as NATO. It's all the same beast system. It's all the same thing. It's all the same conglomerate of the same identity of the same people who rule it. That's Edomites. But you got parts of strength over there, and it's divided. It's not unified, and as a result of that division, it was gonna crumble and fall. Okay? Because you was gonna have different ideas about ruling. For instance, the Germans want to take a more laid-back style of ruling. Okay? But the Americans are more forceful in enforcing their agenda. But it's all the same house of Esau. Okay? And these bits of the families was going to be pitted up against each other by way of the Amalekites, but ultimately the Russians was going to be involved in that, and they all Edomites, and they was going to be pitted up against each other, and they was going to fight each other, man. Okay? So back within the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, it says, and whereas thou sawest, thou sawest iron mixed with the miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Now this is the important bit right here. This goes into prophecy, man. Okay, this goes into the fact that after all is said and done, because of the wickedness, because of the division that they was going to have amidst themselves, they was still going to be destroyed, man. Okay, they wasn't going to coexist forever and ever, because they're thinking now, okay, we've been in rulership for 400 odd years and that, we're just going to rule perpetually. We're just going to be nice, man. Hey, the scripture says that their continuing thought is that their house their continuing thought is that their house shall last forever, roughly paraphrasing. And that's just not biblical. Okay, here it is, you have a wicked as a society is as wicked as this society is. It's just straight up wickedness, man. Okay, it's just straight up wicked. Okay, and they're thinking their mind is that they're going, okay, their grandchildren is going to be doing this. That ain't going to happen, man. And this is the proof of that within the Bible. Okay, so Daniel, the 2nd chapter on the 44th verse, it says, and the days of these kings, so you had the Babylonians, the Assyrians really was outside of this. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greco-Roman Empire, the resurgence of the Greco-Roman Empire that we're living in right now. Okay, in the days of these kings, the elite banking families, the families that rule the world right now, and I believe it's like 8 or